Phil Reed was given her first typewriter on her 5th birthday. She has never looked back. She's combined her love of writing with her lifelong love of medieval stories, and there is a new book that has come out that's got a bit of time travel in it, got a huge amount of history in it, and is a lovely read. But Phil is just so interesting. Phil is someone who only became a published author while she was in her 60s, and it was thanks to a competition that she won. She is a 6 times grandmother, and also, as an adult, diagnosed with Asperger's that little bit later in life. Oh, and she lives on a boat. So, Phil, forgive me, we might have to spend the next 3 days talking, because there is just so much in here to talk to you about.
Thank you. Yeah, I've done an awful lot of things in my life.
Well, we'll hopefully explore them, if that's all right. We'll stop. We will get to the book, I promise. But I hope you don't mind. Can I start with your diagnosis of Asperger's? We have been asking people to get in touch with their late diagnoses of things, and you came to be diagnosed because one of your sons got the diagnosis.
Well, my second son was diagnosed while we were living in France. And once he'd been diagnosed, he was late diagnosed as a teenager. And once he'd been diagnosed, he said, "Mum, you've so got it as well." But I didn't really do anything about it because I thought, well, maybe I have, maybe I haven't. And we were in France. And when we came back to England and my younger son was also diagnosed, I thought, this is the time for me to find out if I really have it. So I did, and I have.
And when you get a diagnosis, does it make a difference?
It explains a lot. I think it is good to get diagnosed. A friend of mine said, "Oh, don't put labels on your children." But I think if they know the reason why they're different, or if I knew the reason why I was different when I was young, it would have helped me enormously. I just couldn't understand why some of the things I couldn't get on with, like making friends when I was young and being obsessive about things, were not the same things that my other friends did. And I didn't know why I was different. So I think it's very important to find out.
Well, thank you ever so much for sharing that with us. And part of that bit of the story, you think explains your love of history and the Arthurian time. And the book, I've been reading it. I'm not at the end yet, so don't tell me what happens. But it revolves around a character called Gwen, who ends up travelling through time. And it's her dad who planted the seeds of history in her head.
Yes, my parents probably did that for me as well, because they were the sort of parents that didn't take me we did go to the beach, but it wasn't just a beach holiday. We would always go to castles and museums and points of interest like that. So I grew up in a family that did that as a matter of fact, rather than just sitting on the beach all the time. And they started it off because they took me to see The Sword in the Stone when I was very little. And I loved it, absolutely loved it. And that was the start of my obsession with King Arthur. Then they took me to see Camelot, the musical, and I did really like that too, although that's not really a very genuine retelling of the story, but it's good.
Yeah, the history there is there are blurred lines as the comedy comes in with that one, aren't there? But not a bad thing, not a bad thing. So now I was reading the book and I sort of know a little bit about the legend of King Arthur and the story that goes around it, and so that I was picking up on bits in the book there. But I mean, there are so many bits of important detail. There's a lot of talk about the costumes and the food and that kind of stuff. Did you do proper historical checking before you wrote this?
Oh, yes, definitely. I think I've probably been researching King Arthur since, at least since I was about 18 properly, which is a long time now, because just the whole background and all the little details fascinate me. I mean, for example, I wanted to find out what they brush their teeth with, and they brush their teeth with powdered charcoal. Now, I happen to find there is a kind of toothpaste made by a particular manufacturer that has charcoal in it, and I thought, well, I'll try that. But it's not the same as powdered charcoal, though.
And how are your teeth? Are they gleaming?
I'm not sure if it's actually any better.
Well, other toothpastes are available, but I picked up on that in there, and also what I loved as well as it's not giving too much away to say that the lead character ends up back in time, and so because she is exploring the world that she's fallen into, the people in in the old world are exploring the world that she has come from and just, sort of describing it like an underwired bra, and the mind-blowing scene involving the person going, what on earth is that? And it must have been lovely from a creative point of view to be thinking, right, let's do modern and old at the same time.
It was terrific fun, although she tries not to. Once she's back there, she makes a few mistakes where she does let slip a few facts, and she realises that she mustn't say things because she could end up changing history if she tells too much. I mean, one of the things she's really fed up with, she's a rider anyway, she's always ridden. I've always ridden. That was my other obsession when I was young, was horses. And because she's a rider, they don't have stirrups then. Stirrups didn't come to Britain until a little bit later. I mean, the Romans didn't have stirrups. It always annoys me in a historical epic of some kind when they give stirrups to people when they shouldn't have them. Anyway, they don't have stirrups, but so she tells them about stirrups because she wants stirrups. And they do make you more comfortable on a horse.
I'll take your word for it, having never really ridden at all. But, the book is, I like to say, it's a really lovely read. I'm very much enjoying it. I know you aren't Gwen, the lead character, but one of the lovely lines is that when she ends up in oldie worldy England, she realises that a lot of the language is Gaelic-based and she knows no Gaelic. But the line in it is that only someone who lives in this part of the world would know. I do know, she says, how to pronounce welcome to Wales, having driven over the bridge. Can you pronounce welcome to Wales in Welsh?
Croeso I Cymru.
There you go. I knew that would be autobiographical in that bit of the book. So now the book is out now, and you're becoming a published author is a fascinating story in itself. So tell me how that all came about.
Well, I started writing this book about 3.5 years ago now, quite some time ago, because I'd always wanted to write a book from Guinevere's point of view. And once it was finished, I joined a group called Critique Circle, which it's from Iceland. It's based in Iceland, but most of the people who are on it are American, some Australians, some dotted about all over the world, some not first language English speakers anyway, some people who it's their second language who belong to it as well. And we all critique each other's work, and it's very, very, very friendly site. And once I'd improved my book and revised it, I thought I'd enter some competition. So I've entered quite a few. Anyway, this competition came up last September, so September 2020. And it was free. So I'd entered a lot that year. So I thought, well, I'd enter that one. I mean, I'd been placed in the top 6 and I'd had highly commended and things like that. So I entered it and then I completely forgot about it. And then come April 2021, I got an email saying, congratulations, you're in the top 20. I thought, that's good, better have a look. So I had a look at the website. It's a really nice website. It's what you call a boutique publisher because they just publish one genre, and it's historical romance. But a majority of them are things like Regency, Victorian. There's a number of medieval ones. There's some Viking. There's a lot of Highlander stories. They seem to be very popular. And I looked at them and thought, well, there doesn't seem to be anything very much like mine. I don't think I'll win. Well, I did. And I won publishing with it. I won a publishing contract for 3 books. So I'm hoping it will continue to the following 3 because there are 6 books in the series.
So when you then are a published author, how does that feel?
Well, it was yesterday was the day I've been waiting for, because it was July the 1st I won. And then yesterday was the publication day. And I've been looking forward to it for all those sort of 6 months. And I thought, the day before, I thought, it's just going to be a letdown because it's just going to feel like the same as today. And it did. It felt like any other day. So, I mean, I was really, really excited, but nothing actually, nice things did happen because I had a beautiful bouquet of flowers from my publishers. They're American, so they organised sending flowers to me over here. And that was really nice. But in a way, I feel exactly the same as I did the day before.
Well, fair enough. But it is a fantastic achievement and it's brilliant. And publishing books there's self-publishing, which you can do, of course, in this day and age. But as in books being published, I get the impression that it's one of those things that it's more of a challenge as time goes by. Because if you write a book and it doesn't get picked up on, and then you write another book, there's going to be a point at which your own demoralised state will perhaps go against you, irrespective of how good or bad the book is. But I mean, do you feel like you are bucking the trend a bit?
I do, because I have read that it's very difficult once you get past 60 to become a first-time published author. So I think I have bucked the trend a bit there. Although looking at the other authors who are on Dragon Blade, my publisher's called Dragon Blade Publishing, there do seem to be some ladies of more mature years on there, but they might have been there a while. I don't know. But I mean, J.K. Rowling always says she was turned down by a lot of people, but I strongly suspect I've been turned down by more.
Well,
Very, very hard to break into it. Unless you're already a celebrity for some other reason.
yeah, but that's kind of that's like a sort of a sneaky backdoor way, isn't it? Although a good book is a good book, it don't matter how it ended up on your bookshelf, I guess.
Yes.
And your own reading, do you like reading novels similar to the kind you write?
Some of the time I do. I will read anything that's well written. I don't like anything that's a bit pretentious and arty, but I love mysteries, thrillers. My absolute favourite author of all time is Neville Shute, who's obviously long dead now, but famous for A Town Like Alice, books like that. I love his writing.
And what is it about the books that grip you? Because, with the best will in the world, there are some absolute classics that it's a blooming nightmare to read, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't like a lot of the classics because, to be honest, I'm not sure they'd actually get published now because they're always a bit long-winded and they're very hard to get into. And basically nowadays they want you to be able to capture your reader within the first few, well, at least within the first 6 pages, if not within the first 2 pages. Which is why with my book, it actually started about 2 chapters earlier, and I cut all of those out so that I could jump in with the thing that happens. It's called the inciting incident. So the inciting incident is when she's on Glastonbury tour and she goes in first thing in the morning and she goes into the tower after she's scattered her father's ashes and she finds the ring, and it's the ring that snatches her back in time, which is quite funny because we went to Glastonbury in, I think it was November last year. We thought we'll go up Glastonbury tour first thing in the morning, we'll take photographs of the sunrise, and it wasn't misty. I wanted it to be misty, but it wasn't, unfortunately. Anyway, we got up there, it was really cloudy. And I thought, oh goodness, she'd have a job spreading her father's ashes because there'd be so many people up there watching the sunrise.
Oh, how funny! How funny! Well, the book, like I say, is lovely, and through my bathroom window you can see Glastonbury Tour, so I feel like I'm reading about home. And it's out now, as you say. It's the first of many books. Hopefully, the book is called Guinevere, the Dragon Ring, which is out now. And before we let you go, you live on a boat. That's the last thing that I need to talk to you about.
Yes, I do. We bought it about 10 years ago now, so we've been on a boat for 10 years.
And what's the lovely thing about living on a boat?
So many lovely things about living on a boat. You can move whenever you want to. So if you don't like where you're moored, you can just undo your ropes and move off. And it's not like a caravan. When I was a child, we had a caravan. And if you move that, you have to batten everything down so it doesn't rattle about. You can't ride in it when you're going along. You have to sit in the car. But when we're going along in the boat, I can be inside making cups of tea or bacon sandwiches. And my husband will be on the back steering. It's just lovely. And you see so many different things. Just a really wonderful way of life.
Okay, least good thing about living on a boat. What do you miss about sort of bricks and mortar?
Oh, somebody asked me that yesterday. The least good thing, this is a bit yucky, is you have to carry your toilet waste with you in a big tank and you have to empty it every so often. And that's a pain.
Oh, goodness, on behalf of everyone who's having their lunch at the minute, I'm sorry I asked that question.
It's in a big tank, you can't see it or anything.
No, of course not. But it's just one of those thoughts, isn't it? Well, Phil, I have thoroughly enjoyed chatting to you today. Thank you so much for coming on. Congratulations on becoming a published author. Congratulations on the book coming out yesterday. And I'm sure we'll talk to you again when the next one comes out too.
Thank you very much for having me on your programme, Simon.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, Phil. Phil Reed's book, Guinevere, the Dragon Ring. It's really good. It's out now.